What's going on, boys? It is day number 17 of reading through the book of Job. Happy 1st of May. We made it through another month. I hope that the month of April went well for you, and I hope that today is a good day, or has been a good day for you. Just to kick off May 1st, if you're watching this on the 1st, if you're watching this on the 2nd. So for today, we were looking at the second half of Job's response to his friend Eliphaz. So we're continuing the series, as you may know, this kind of back and forth motion that Job has with his three friends after he's been devastated after his loss. So we have this continued kind of conversation that Job has, but Job, saying one thing, and then his friends will say another thing, and it's just kind of continued kind of back and forth thing, trying to just understand why Job's feeling this way, and how he can, really be relieved, how he can move on from this and still trust in God, even though he doesn't have all of these, the materials and, his friends and his family to, comfort him. So for today, we're looking at two sections. This is going to be pretty short. First, I want to look at a kind of a statement that Job makes about, how he feels he's been placed by God. He says in verse 6 through 9, he says, "God has made me a byword to everyone, a man in whose face people spit. My eyes have grown dim with grief. My whole frame is but a shadow. The upright are appalled at this. The innocent are aroused against the ungodly. Nevertheless, the righteous will hold to their ways, and those with clean hands will grow stronger." So right up, first off, I just want to start with that first kind of section where Job says that God has made him into this byword. When it comes to God makes us into things, it's not about God, changing our lives and making it into the way he wants it. It's more of, if we want things to happen, we have to be the ones that step up to the plate and make those changes. Yes, God is going to be there for us. Yes, he's going to provide those instructions, but God doesn't forcefully make us into something that we have to just live with. God doesn't force you into poverty. He doesn't force you into, being put in prison. He doesn't force you into, being, being put in a really bad position, being stressed out or being depressed. God doesn't put you in that position. And it's really not a specific person that puts you in that position. It's more or less what you do. It's the response that you make. That's what a lot of our life is that the response we make. That's what kind of dictates how we go forward. That's what kind of, really reasons to the way we are. So, you respond in a way and, you're not feeling great. It's like, well, maybe if I hadn't said this, or maybe if I hadn't done that. And, Job's just really just like, well, God has just made me into this. This is just who God has made me into. It's not like God has made him into that. It's to, show that, Job is more than just someone who bared a lot of, wealthiness. He's someone that was a true care, and he worshipped and was a servant of God. He's reflecting on that, that the poor are, being, not appreciated, and if they're not being appreciated, then what's the point of trying to give praise and trying to show that you are a true dedicated follower? And it shows that the people who are righteous, they just look down at the poor. They're just like, well, they're just poor, that's just the way it is. But that's not at all who we should be at all. I know for me, and this is something that I still have to remind myself daily, is that, in life, there's going to be people who are going to be rich and there's people who are going to be poor. But the whole point of that is for you to take action. And it's not about you going and giving away every single item that you have. It's about providing what they need, providing what you can provide. Because obviously you still have to provide for yourself. But there's a lot of people who have excess, a lot, and they don't consider. And people often wonder why that there's people out there who struggle, and there's people out there who don't get the respect and the attention that they need. And it's not that, they don't have people to talk to, and, these poor people don't have anybody to talk to, but it's more of that, deep level connection that they want to just thrive and live a life, because all of us want the same thing. We all want to grow up, work a good job, have a family, and make it to heaven. That's what we all want. Deep down, that's what all of us want. Even people who claim to be atheists and independent, that's what we all want. We all want to live a good life, have a great family, and go on to heaven. All of us know what heaven is. But it's always that process that nobody wants to ever consider. And people think, well, the poor are just the way they are. Or if, you're poor, you're like, oh, it's just the way I am. There's nothing I can do about it. Well, there is. And oftentimes it's a lot more complicated process than you think. It's bigger than just getting a job. It's more of you have to be willing to take, one step at a time and realize that things take time. And for Job, it's just, he refuses to take one step at a time. He's not willing to understand that, this is just how things have to be for this time right now. And he just has to remain loyal. That's all he has to do. He doesn't have to own up for anybody. He doesn't have to try and fit in with anybody. And he just has to be who he is. And he's just constantly dissing himself, just not being willing to accept that this is just what God is doing for him right now, and that God has not forgiven up on him. God has not left him. God still sees him as who he is. That's what matters. He even says again in verse 15, he says, where then is my hope? Who can see any hope for me? And, oftentimes, the first thing that came to mind was that frustration distracts one's mind from the goal. Frustration puts this cloud of just, anger and negative thoughts and just, confusion and sadness and depression and anxiety, all these thoughts in your head. It blocks you from your goal, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I can't do anything. I don't know what to do. I can't do this. I've lost everything. I don't know what to do. You have to clear that out of your head. Clear it out. Let it go. Who cares? Doesn't matter. It's happened. There's nothing you can do about it. A lot of things in life are things that we may not even be able to control. And the other thing is that a lot of things that we even worry about or think about most of the time, about 9 times out of 10, don't happen. So, if anything, you're thinking a negative thought, like, man, I don't want to make that person mad. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to lose my job. Like, I don't know if I can do it. Why worry about it? Because why worry about it when you have the most important figure to be at your side, and that is Christ. Christ is with you. Christ is the direct connection to God. And we can have that ultimate connection. That's what matters. If you have a connection with God, that's all that matters. Who cares what happens out here on the earth? It doesn't matter. All that matters is that you trust in the one who does see you, who sees you for who you are, and can help you always. God sees us for who we are. He doesn't look at us for the sins that we commit, or the people that we talk to, or how many friends we have, or how much kids we have, or how much money you have. God doesn't look at it. He looks at you for who you are, for who he created. With his bare hands. With his bare hands, he created you and said, this is my son. This is my daughter. This individual I love and care for. And I want to have a relationship with that person. And all we have to do is accept. That's all we have to do. And you really have to let it sink in to really understand what that means. And for Job, it's a very complicated process that he's just going to have to let, sink into his mind, slow down, and let these negative thoughts go. Don't let negative thoughts rule your mind, because when you do, you will get distracted, and it will lead you down dark paths that you will be very well, in the deep of the water. And it is a very complicated process to get out. Don't let yourself go down that path so far. And that is today's word. And I hope that you guys have had a great week. I hope that whatever you've been going through, that it gets better. I will be praying for you. Just, if there's anything you have going on, lay it out to God. I promise you, he will answer your prayer. He hears you. I promise you, he does. He does. But I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I hope to see you guys very soon. Peace out, boys.